Hi, I'm AJ Wilcox. I generated 30 new reviews for our agency with a single LinkedIn post. The entire tactic was offering a free audit, but of course everyone offers a free audit. We had to position this one very specifically. And instead of saying it's a free audit, we actually did say that there is a cost to it, but that cost is just to leave us a review. There were only 3 of us involved. It was me, my head of sales, and we had a consultant who helped build out the lead magnet and the funnel. But if you already have if you have the ability to build all that stuff out yourself, you may not need to pay for a consultant. We also purchased a platform called High Level to do our landing page building. And again, if you have landing pages and scheduling and everything you need, you can actually do this tactic totally for free. It took about 3 weeks of preparation for this in order for the post to go live. It took about 1 very busy week of replying to everyone and working those leads. And then our head of sales, he had his calendar filled for 1 to 2 weeks with all of these free audit appointments. And that was it. It's been so successful that we're going to easily be able to replicate this once a quarter if we wanted to. And we still expect, even, this is new, we expect over the next, 2-3 weeks for even more reviews to be rolling in. And it also has been so successful, we're going to be able to put LinkedIn ads dollars behind promoting it as well. And if it works well organically, chances are it's going to work well as ads too. So this may end up being an evergreen funnel that we can push people through and get reviews out, plus free consultations and sales conversations. And I really think if you have a good offer, anyone can implement this. You are just 1 free LinkedIn post away and some time in implementing.
If that resonates with you, listen along. Also, check out our other episodes. You're listening to TLDR, the B2B SaaS growth podcast brought to you by Spear Growth. The goal of the podcast is to enable you, our listeners, to generate an additional $100,000 in cumulative pipeline by May 2024. To do this, we bring people who have made a real impact in their companies. They cut through the fluff and dive deep into one tactic or strategy of theirs. I'm your host Ishan. Let's generate pipeline.
And we are back, AJ, for the second episode. We recorded one yesterday. I am super pumped for this one because we had a discussion. So AJ, if we'll introduce him again, right? AJ and I just recorded an episode yesterday on LinkedIn ads. Amazing episode. You should definitely check it out. So I wanted to discuss something that doesn't directly... Because AJ shares a lot of stuff on LinkedIn ads already. So today we're going to discuss something slightly different. AJ ran a campaign where he published, I think, 1 LinkedIn post, and that's going to generate about 30 reviews for an agency, right? So, and you can use the exact same framework for a SaaS. You understand how amazing 30 reviews are for a SaaS company, and that's all through a single LinkedIn post. So great to have you back, AJ. I'm super pumped for this, not only for the audience, but for myself, because I'm going to copy the exact thing that you did right after this.
Hey, I'm so excited to share. This is something that we've been cooking up actually for now several months.
Wow.
In the past, we've advertised like, hey, we do a free audit, and we'll get some signups, but when you hear free audit from an agency, it's like, of course, if you just ask, any agency will do a free audit. So we wanted to do something that was going to stand out and be a little bit different. And the genesis of the idea was, it's still going to be an audit of sorts, but can we call it something different so that people think it's a different service? And can we focus on something that they might care about more than just a general audit? And so anyway, that's what we'll go into, is the whole strategy behind it, what we did, and everything we got out of it.
I absolutely love this. Just for someone who hasn't watched the last episode and lives under a rock, could you introduce yourself? AJ?
Sure thing. So I'm AJ Wilcox. I live in the state of Utah in the US. I've got 5 beautiful kids, a wonderful wife. I just got remarried here about 2 years ago, so all things good there. Almost 10 years ago, I started B2Linked, and we're an ad agency that literally LinkedIn ads is all we do. So I love LinkedIn advertising. I've spent more money on the platform than any person or company in history. I run the LinkedIn Ads Show podcast, but I'm also really interested in the organic side of LinkedIn as well. And I don't have anything to sell anyone. Like, we don't do anything on the organic side as an agency. This is just my personal passion, what I find working, and I get a real kick out of it.
Yeah. Awesome. Love that. Let's dive right into it. Let's just start with numbers, right? Like from top to bottom, let's look at numbers, and then we'll get into, let's get people excited, then let's get into the how of it. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So top level numbers, this was actually 3 posts. So we knew we were going to have one post that was going to collect leads, essentially, but we did 2 posts leading up to it, like, hey, something big is coming. So if you combine all 3 of those posts, we had over 25,000 impressions. That's people, one of the posts came across their feed, over 400 comments. And this turned into 112 people raising their hands saying, I'm interested. And then on the back end, we ended up with 57 meetings being set up. So that resulted, we actually don't know yet because we haven't had all the meetings, but we're going to guess that at least 30 of those 57 are going to end up being a review for us. And that's going to help us get 30 new reviews across Clutch, G2, our Google profile, all these places where it's just really uncomfortable to ask people for reviews. And so I forget to do it with clients. This is a great way of getting something up so that we have that at least minimum level when someone's checking us out of like, yeah, they're a legit company.
I absolutely love this. Just for some more stats, you cannot do this with anyone's LinkedIn profile. You obviously have built out a presence over years, right? So can you just also talk about when are we posting? How much does a typical post get? So that people also understand that it's not just hey, you put on a post from any profile and it works. Can you also talk about what do you normally see on your profile?
Yeah, it's really interesting because if we go back a couple years, every post that I would put up would be viral. And my definition for that is I had more views on the post than I had followers. And in the last couple years, my followers have gotten kind of high. I'm in the 38,000, almost 39,000 followers. And LinkedIn changed their algorithm where it's a lot harder to go viral. I actually haven't had a post go viral now in probably over a year. It could be just because my follower count is so high that it would be hard to get over. But yeah, I think most posts that I put out get somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 views.
Got it.
And that's with a lot of engagement. If you have a really tight network where you have lots of people commenting, many don't know, commenting is the virality fuel of LinkedIn's organic. And so if you can get comments, especially in that first hour of a post being live, that's where you really see your views take off.
Makes sense. And then how many comments on average do your posts get? Comments, likes, whatever? Just I know I'm just asking, just rough numbers, yeah.
Yeah, we usually get somewhere between about 10 to 20 comments. Some get very, very low, but some quite high. So yeah, I'd say 10 to 20 is probably average.
Got it. And how often do you post?
I try to post. I try to post twice per week if I can. I like Tuesdays and Thursdays. Mondays are too busy. Everyone posts on Monday, and so you've got a lot of competition. And then Friday, a lot of people are not paying nearly as much attention. So Tuesday, Thursdays are my favorites.
Perfect. Okay, so I think this is very good context because you said, hey, this is what a normal post gets, and then suddenly you have this one post which got 222 comments.
Yeah.
That's right. So that's a lot of comments on a post. So clearly the offer resonated, right? I'm a huge fan of offers. I have a very, very good framework. I'll maybe even send it to you after the podcast of how to create great offers. When I look at yours and run through the framework, it's an amazing offer. We were just talking before we recorded how amazingly you've positioned it. Can you just walk us through what the offer is? Because I think one is, yes, how good your profile already is. And second is how beautifully you've crafted the offer. Can you talk about what did you offer folks? How did you think about it? Let's get in the weeds. Yeah.
Yeah, first, when we were thinking about creating this new offer, you start thinking about distribution methods. And if you do the standard, which is like, I'm going to create a landing page on my website that has a form that people can sign up on, and then I'm going to link to that from a social post. A post like that would probably get 500 views. a small fraction of people would end up clicking, and then a small percentage of those would end up converting. And so we could do this, we could create something big just to have it get maybe 2 signups. And I would consider that a failure. The antithesis here, the reason why we did what we did, this is a strategy that we call comment gating. And what you do is you say, hey everyone, here's something of value, comment if you want it. And you've probably seen this everywhere. This is not a new strategy. We didn't come up with this. But what happens, like we talked about before, when someone comments on LinkedIn, LinkedIn looks at it and goes, oh, if there's a comment, that means that there's conversation to be had. We should get this post in front of more people because it's more engaging than other content. And so that's when LinkedIn starts saying, hey, I'm not just going to show this to your first level connections. I'm going to start showing it to your second and your third level as well. So by doing this, not only was the sign up, the hand raise being a comment, so that helps the post go viral and reach more people. But then it also makes it really easy to click on that person's name to send them a DM and carry on these conversations behind the scenes.
Perfect. Love the funnel. Now let's talk about what you were offering to folks, right? Like the offer, how do you package it? And I really like the way you positioned it. So please talk a lot more about that part.
Yeah. So if you ask any agency to do an audit, of course they're going to do an audit. They want to show you what is not working well so that you'll want to hire them on to have them do it better. So everyone will do a free audit. And so we thought, okay, if we just call this a free audit, we're going to hear crickets. Like nothing is going to happen. But we started digging into what is it that, like, when we audit different accounts, and I've now audited over 800 accounts in the last 10 years that I've been doing this. There is something in common that they all do wrong, and that is the cost optimizations. If you're not paying attention and you don't know what you're doing, LinkedIn will take as much money for you as possible. So most people are paying, I would say, north of $16 per click on LinkedIn, but they don't need to be. With our accounts, I think we only have 1 or 2 that are paying more than $10 a click. Most of ours are paying somewhere between 6 and 8 per click. And it's not that we're getting worse traffic. It's not that we're reaching less competitive people. It's not that at all. We're just being really efficient about it. So our goal was, let's call this like a cost, we thought about different names like cost shredder or cost saver or budget saver, things like that. And the whole goal was going to be, can we, in an audit situation, show you the explicit things that you can go and do to each of your campaigns with your bidding, with your budgets, to all of a sudden cut your costs by, we're averaging 57%. So that was it. It's an audit. We just didn't call it an audit. We focused it on the pain point that we see that everyone's account has.
Makes sense. And then, so I love the positioning. I love how you also, in return, you also ask for reviews, and that was a great way to justify your time. So can you talk about that as well? Yeah,
and thanks for bringing that up. This is a really important part. So we were working with a lead magnet builder. He's a friend of mine, and this is all he does is just creates lead magnets that fill up calendars. That's like his tagline. And his formula that he shared with us, and I went, oh, that makes sense, is from the landing page where you're getting people's interest, you're getting them to fill out the form. Everyone is suspicious when you say, hey, here's something for free, because they go, it's not going to be free. It's going to be a high pressure sales pitch that I'm going to walk into and be bombarded and it's not a comfortable situation. So what we did to assuage that is we said, look, we're giving this away for free. Why are we doing that? It's actually because we want reviews. Like, if we can give you 30 minutes of our time, give you specific coaching on how you can save money, and in exchange, you're willing to give us a review, that's all we need. And so people are then going in to the situations going, oh, it's not totally free, but it's a cost that I'm willing to do. And so they come in disarmed. They're not worried like, okay, when's the sales pitch coming? And because they don't have their guard up, you can have a very fluid, honest conversation about what's working in their account and what's not. And then of course, the review ends up being really good because we just saved them a crap ton of money.
I just absolutely love that. And I have been, so quick story, like at Spear Growth, I think we realized that offers, if you have a very, very good offer, it doesn't, yes, the offer has to be packaged well, the way you've said, everything you've said should be, the naming is important, all of that is important, but then the copy doesn't matter nearly as much. If you have a good offer, good positioning, all of that stuff, you could have written it slightly not that well. It's going to perform much better than a bad offer with great copy, with great design and all of that. So that's been our thesis. And so just for anyone listening, I think this is extremely important. And I know this is not a LinkedIn ads podcast, but then if you have the chance to create offers the way, and AJ, I'm going to link to your offer as an example in our offer guide, right? So if anyone has the chance to create great offers for LinkedIn ads or across their marketing, just re-listen to what AJ just said and how did he think about the offers, all the pieces he really thought through. That's really the core of everything else we'll discuss, right? So that's, I think, probably the most important part of the entire podcast just went by you. Let me know if you disagree or there's something else, right, AJ?
No, I 100% agree. If your offer has value, whether you just release it organically to your followers, whether you put paid spend behind it on any number of networks, if it's a good offer, it's going to perform in every one of those situations well. If it's not, it's going to feel like pulling teeth to try to get views on it, interactions at all, and of course leads.
I had to put a huge disclaimer so that people focus on that part and not everything else. I mean, the rest is also important, but that's the most important part of this. Okay, perfect. Let's get into everything else now, right? So, doing it was 112 audits, or how many? 60 audits is not easy. Or not a small task. How do you, what does that workflow look like?
Yeah, so what we did is, first of all, when you have a post that has 222 comments, you have to be very much up on that. You have to respond to people, you have to then take it to DMs and remember to send people the details for here's how you can get signed up. Some people who you're not already connected to, you have to send a connection request to before you can send the details. So all of that, there was a lot of work that we planned on ahead of time. And between me and my head of sales, he's my lead consultant, we both tag teamed that. Hey, you take this half, I take this half, and we respond. So once we turned those into 112 leads, these are people who raised their hand and said, I'm interested. 57 of them ended up going and signing up on the back end for an appointment. And what they were...
Sorry, how did someone sign up? What does that... is it a form? What's a sign up?
Yeah, it was a form. And the form is multi-step, looking to push you one way or another. So if you spend less than $3,000 a month on LinkedIn ads, we didn't push you onto our lead consultant's calendar. We pushed you over to, here's a training of what you can do to get more out of your ads until you can get your budget up higher. So he doesn't need to, it doesn't help to give people recommendations for optimization when they're not spending enough to actually see what to optimize. We also realized that a high number, frankly, of the people who wanted this were agencies. And if you can imagine, agencies are our competitors. And so what are we going to do when we get on a call? We're going to say, well, what account do you want to open up? You have access to several accounts. Which one do we do? And then there's this, you have to have an NDA in place, or you might be violating the NDA by them showing a different agency. So we actually created a separate offer for them. We said, if you are an agency marketer, rather than going onto Parker's calendar to do this audit, I'm actually going to do a one-time, it's not recorded, there's going to be no replay. This is a one-time, join, and AJ Wilcox is going to walk you through training where he's sharing screen. You don't have to share, so you're not going to violate any confidences. But AJ is going to show you, here are all the ways that I look at budget optimizations so that you can go do it too. And so that was it. We had the 3 buckets, and the ones who went to Parker, they went right to his calendar scheduling link, and he just set aside a whole week of like, okay, I'm ready, fill me up. And that's where all those calendar appointments came. It was 1 to maybe 2 weeks, depending on how they scheduled, where he dedicated a lot of effort to this.
Yeah. This is very good. So we did about 70 SEO audits in a similar situation. I think what I really messed up was a lot of accounts came in which didn't really need an audit, and we were doing SEO audits, not ad audits, even though we do both as services. What we messed up that's why this is a great tip for us, is we just said, hey, we'll do an audit for everyone, and then a lot of audits turned into advice on maybe you should not do SEO.
Oh.
That ended up being the advice of an audit, which is very weird, but that's what they need. So, and that, I think that's something I'll really take away from this. So thanks for that. I think that's very useful. Perfect. Okay, so then you have a lead. I understood your entire flow. So were you saying something?
Well, I was actually just going to say, I think that's great, because anytime that you are selling a service and you tell someone, hey, by the way, I don't recommend this service for you, it immediately spikes trust on their side. They know, like, oh, I can really trust this company because they're giving me legit advice that conflicts with their wanting to grow their business. So now they become friends and fans for life.
Oh yeah. There's a couple of leads we get, which are, I'm sure you get this all the time as well, but like, hey, we spoke 2 years ago. You told me not to run ads back then. I cannot go to anyone else because you were right. Or I went to someone else, I ran it, but you were right. I should not have done it. And now I cannot go to, you are the only person I trust now. So,
yes, I love that.
And I'm sure you get a ton of that as well, right? So just knowing you, that's the same that you get as well, right?
Yeah, I do love getting leads who say, hey, we talked years ago, because it means at that point they remembered, the conversation we had, and they trusted the advice. And those are leads that we didn't have to go out and try to generate now, like leads from the past who are coming back.
Yes. Perfect. Okay, so there's 3 people till now that we know of, right? It's you, it's your, did you say head of sales?
Yeah.
And then there's the lead account. Again, I forget the exact title. It's the lead account.
He's a consultant who helps build lead magnets. So he was the one who built the entire system of like, hey, here's how we segment people with form questions, and how we build the landing pages, and we send text message reminders before their meetings and all that. So his name's Ian. He helped us out with that.
Okay, perfect. So there were 3 people. Was there and who was actually doing the audits? Was it the same consultant?
It was our consultant, our head of sales was actually doing that. And it wasn't a high pressure sales situation, but he was looking for like, can I give you this advice? And then have you tell me, is there ever an opportunity? Like, would you ever consider hiring an agency to help you do this ongoing? Because you can do it once, but then you don't continue to get those savings for years and years, because new campaigns launch and new ads launch and things change. And so it really is in someone's best interest, if they want the best costs, to have someone doing it ongoing. So he's looking for those opportunities without it being a heavy sales situation.
Yeah. And then it's a fair ask, right? Hey, would you want an agency or not, right? It's a very, very fair ask if you've just given so much value. Makes sense.
Totally.
And were there any other teammates involved to do something like this?
No, it was just us 3.
And just a question, right? If this was a SaaS situation, because a lot of the listeners would be more of SaaS companies, not service companies, you could still do audits, right, on things. But would you recommend like making sure to get all the information that you need to do? Because again, it's not an account that you need to audit. It might be different things. So how would you structure that? Would you structure, hey, like make sure you have access to these, or these people are on the call, make sure you have all the information and before you get on a call? Or would it also be a call? Would it not be a call? Would you say, hey, let's do the audit and send you a report? Like, how would you structure that? I can also share my thoughts, but like, how would you structure that for a SaaS company rather than a service company?
Yeah, super smart question. Usually SaaS software solve some sort of a pain point that people are feeling who have to do something manually. So one way I've found to do this is, hey, comment below if you want this free Excel template that we just created. It's a template, like, if you buy our software, it does all this tracking and reporting for you. But if you're not going to use a software, here's a quick and easy template that you can plug things into. So, or maybe it's an audit of, like, tell us how you normally do this and how much time it takes, and then we'll give you recommendations on how to do that better. But of course, the recommendation is always going to be, by the way, you could save a lot more time just buying this tool.
Yeah, I have to tell this story. This is one of my favorite campaigns we ever ran for a client. I cannot not say this. We ran the exact same thing. So what AJ said works amazing. Share those templates, but it doesn't work all the time. Okay, so I'll just share this one time where it didn't work. This was a SaaS company, could do the work through a template. So we said, hey, you know what? I'm going to share a template on how to do this thing. That was the campaign. That was the offer. We sent them to a landing page, it wasn't an lead gen form, something. We wanted to send them to a landing page, worked amazingly, beautiful ad, send them to a landing page. The landing page was a little aggressive. So the landing page was like, we would give them the template, but then the CTA was download the most useless xlx.com, the most useless sheet.xls. And the entire page was, you would now spend 2 hours doing this step, then spend 3 hours doing this step. It was an aggressive page, right? I thought it was brilliant, and every single section was spend 2 hours doing this, or do it in 2 clicks with us. Spend 3 hours doing this, or do it in 1 click with us. That was the entire. I thought it was amazing. It bombed like anything because it got clicks, it got views, it got reads. But I think we pissed some people off, or I don't know what happened, but almost no one signed up, or no one even downloaded the template because we just roasted the template a bit too much.
Oh,
right?
that's funny. They took it seriously. Like, the template was telling them, like, this is useless because if you use our software, it's going to make this so much easier. But it actually did end up talking people out of even trying the template.
Yeah, but it was I still think it was an amazing campaign, which I think we can tone down a bit and then try it again for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I love that. Didn't work, but I would do it again for sure. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that example. Yeah. I love failures, especially when they're hilarious, because they do teach us, and there's so much to learn from that failure, because 2 tweaks away and you'll have a raging success.
Yep. Perfect. Okay, so back to the project that you ran. Were there any costs involved apart from... so I know you have a lot of tools in the agency already, so let's not get into schedulers and all the regular agency stuff. Was there any cost involved at all, apart from like the 2 weeks of time for your lead consultant?
No, it was, we paid our consultant who helped us create the whole lead magnet and strategy. Yep. So there was cost involved with that. But the actual execution, we ended up buying a platform, access to it. It's called Go High Level to run this. And that has all the landing page builder and the scheduler and the messaging and all of that built in. And so we do have that ongoing. But otherwise, all the promotion we did so far is organic. We are going to start advertising this on LinkedIn. We may have already actually even started, just to see how it does from a paid perspective. But organically, we filled up Parker's calendar. It was exactly what we wanted.
I love that. Okay, perfect. So no more costs. Where do you plan to send people and direct the reviews? Because you did mention a lot of platforms. So how does that work?
Yeah, so we know that we want reviews in all kinds of different places. Like, we want Clutch, we want G2. There's another one that's evading me right now. There's the Google reviews. Yeah. And so my lead consultant, when he has these calls, he knows which ones that he wants more reviews on. And so he'll selectively send them a link to the profile he wants a review on. And so what we're getting is a very even flow and reviews across the board, rather than having 30 on Google and then 0 on Clutch.
Makes sense. Love that. And you would recommend others also do something similar, or would you recommend that, hey, if you need, I think you could also do things like, for example, in SaaS, if you're on page 2 because you have 30 reviews and the first guy has 70, you could push everything just there just to sort of, get a leg up. You could do that. Yeah.
That's true. And I'm actually listening to an audiobook right now about reviews. So I'm realizing there are aggregators. There are places where if you can get reviews, then those show up in other places. There's a strategy behind it that I'm not currently using. So I'm going to look to, maybe at some point there's a single link that people go to and then they can choose which platform or it dynamically pushes them. Right now it's all manual.
Makes sense. And if you have gotten any reviews already, so the review is not for your services. It's for an audit you did. So for example, at Spear Growth, we have really good reviews on Clutch. Now, if I did this, all my top reviews on Clutch aren't going to be nearly as good because they don't talk about our work. They talk about a review I did. True. So yes, from a numbers perspective, it goes up, but then it just is, they aren't great reviews, and I don't want people to look at. So how do you manage this, or have you seen a drop in quality or relevance of the reviews, or how do you think about this part?
I haven't had a chance to analyze it yet. So honestly, I don't have many thoughts on it, but you bring up really good points. I think if the reviews are saying things like B2Linked saved me 57% on my LinkedIn ads costs, that's going to apply whether they are looking for ads management or consulting. If the review specifically says I hopped on a 30-minute call for a free audit, I would call that less quality. So maybe that's something that we could message them as hey, in your review, I would love it if you would hit specifically on B2Linked strategy saved us this much money. But we'll see.
I think that's an important piece. Yeah, I think that's a very, very important piece to make this work. Otherwise, reviews might not be great. And then that's going to be more of an issue than a benefit. That, hey, all my top, in every platform, my review talks about me doing free work. This is going to be very weird to manage. Okay, perfect. So I think we've discussed phases, we've discussed the offer, we've discussed how you send people into different places, we've discussed how to make it, posting this for SaaS, we've discussed a version of this that might even fail for SaaS. Is there something that I missed asking that I should have asked you?
I don't think so. I mean, this was the main strategy, and we didn't know how it was going to perform at the beginning. Glad it performed the way it did. It definitely could have gone even more. Honestly, if we had more than 112 people sign up, it would be pretty hard to find space on a calendar for them anyway. So it's actually good that we can repeat this too in little bursts here and there. Maybe if we do this once a quarter or something along those lines. But yeah, I think you hit on all the main stuff.
Perfect. Awesome. So just 2 questions now. One, if people had to find you, where can they find you is the second last question.
Yeah, if you search on LinkedIn for AJ Wilcox, I'm really easy to find. If you send me a connection request because you want to be connected, just make sure to customize it and say that you heard me on Ishan's show. Then because I get a lot of invites and I don't accept them if I don't know why someone's requesting. If you like podcasts, which if you're listening to this, you probably do, you ought to check out the LinkedIn Ads Show podcast. It's a weekly podcast where we go really deep into some element of strategy or execution into LinkedIn ads, and I think you'll love it.
Awesome, love it. And then now for the final part, can you give a quick elevator pitch for the agency, for everyone listening, if they want to work with you?
Sure thing. So B2Linked, we are the ad agency 100% dedicated to LinkedIn ads. We've been doing it almost 10 years, and on average, when we take over an account, we cut costs by 57%. So basically, we do much more than pay for ourselves when we manage an account just by how much we cut off of your LinkedIn bill and improve performance. It's what we do, and we do it well.
Love that, AJ. Thank you so much for doing a second episode. I personally loved both of them. This was probably one that I'll steal from you right away and use it. So thank you so much from a personal perspective as well. Yeah.
Oh, you're so welcome. I love talking about this stuff. I get really geeky.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the TLDR podcast. In case you're wondering, Spear Growth is a marketing agency. We help B2B SaaS companies like yourself with ads and SEO. Check out our website at speargrowth.com. That is SPEARGROWTH.com. Just like this, every episode starts with a 1-minute summary of what we discuss. Pick the next episode to listen to based on what you can implement right away. And after you implement any of these tactics and see an impact, we'd appreciate you drop us a note on podcast@speargrowth.com.